Prof, you can start the session.
I can start? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this masterclass. I'm very happy to be with you on a Saturday morning, evening, afternoon. I mean, wherever you are in the world, I'm very happy to be here with you today. So my name is Anne-Flore Maman-Larofi. A couple of words about me before I start. I am the academic director of one mastering program at ESSEC, which is a Master in Strategy and Management of International Business. So it's a program which is running on all our campuses, on our ESSEC campuses, both in APAC and also in France. And we also have a program in Rabat, Morocco. And basically, I'm also an alumni from this program, which I did in 2006. So I'm very happy to be with you today and to share my insights about client centricity. So for the little story, this is a snapshot of a class that I teach in the SME program. And this is one of my areas of expertise, which I do as a consultant. I also have my company, and which I developed as part of my PhD when I was a PhD student candidate, I would say, in ESSEC Business School. So today's subject is about, as you can see on the title, client centricity. And the question is would that be in the end the future of strategy conduct? So I would like to start with, coming back to clients and consumers. So by the way, when we say client centricity, we should say Ccentricity, because beyond the C, you can put a client, a consumer, a customer, and even a patient. So patient would be for the pharmaceutical industry. Consumer would be for the B2C goods, market goods. Client, would be for the B2B industry. And also the luxury industry. So for those of you who are interested in luxury, never say a consumer, you only say clients. And the last one is customer, and customer is for services. So you see, beyond the C, actually, we have different realities. So for the sake of this presentation, I will use the word client, but you can put whatever C or patient instead of my client word. So clients, who are they is always a key issue for companies, because you can have a wonderful idea, a wonderful business idea. You can be super great at developing, products or services around that idea. You can have the best product in the world. If you don't have a market to buy, you're dead. So taking into account clients and consumers is something which is very, very important, especially because today we face some consumption and also business challenges. And then it's more and more difficult to grab, capture, and keep your consumers. Now, knowing that, you have something which is very important, which is showing up on your screen. Sorry, I'm trying to put my head away. Yeah, my little head. Yeah, better. Sorry. Knowing that it is 6 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to keep a current one. So what does it mean? It means that for a company, when you have a client, you want to keep him or her, okay? Or it, if it's a B2B. You don't want this person, you don't want to see this person or this company go away. Because going to get a new consumer is something which is very expensive. And when we say expensive, it's not only in terms of money, but it's also in terms of HR, human resources. Okay, so trying to acquire a new customer is 6 to 7 times more expensive than making an existing one buy again from you. So the whole rationale behind having a Ccentric strategy is also to work on client retention. Okay, so having a loyalty rate which is higher. Also, one of the biggest challenges that we have in the 21st century with clients is that they are no more quiet. Clients nowadays, they speak on social media, they speak on many channels. They express when they are happy, they express, which is good, and they express also when they are unhappy, which is not so good. And you all know from, so from all the stories that you may have heard in the press, that you can really destroy your reputation in 2 minutes with a tweet. It's very, very fast reputation damage. And building the reputation might also be very fast. So you want to take advantage of that and to also, face the risk which is inherent to these new consumption trends. Another big trend that I want to stress out is sustainable consumption. So sustainable consumption, here you have an example of an eatable packaging for fries. Don't ask me how it tastes, I don't know. But basically, sustainable consumption is something which is very big today because it's a trend. Alors, you have to be yet very cautious about sustainable consumption because there is a discrepancy between what people claim and what people do. Like most people will say they would have a sustainable consumption and they want to consume sustainable products or sustainable brands. But when you check the data, the figures, actually, they don't, the transformation to the actual act of purchase is not always here. And this is not really depending on generations. Often we hear, Generation Z or Generation Y, they are more sustainable, cautious than the other ones. It's not true, actually. When you check the data, the real data, you have people in Generation Y who are very sustainable oriented, and you have people in Generation X or even the baby boomers who are also very sustainable oriented. So it's more a mindset, a way of living, and there are also big differences depending on countries. When you go in the developing countries or in the developed countries, it's not the same trend. Yet it's something very important to take into account for companies because sustainable is here. Even if people don't buy sustainable products, we speak about that. And again, the reputation of the brand and the company might be also made upon that. Another consumption challenge is collaborative consumption, re-consumption, the resale, repackaging, second-hand products, buying together and then reselling one another. So this is a big trend. Depending on countries, it's more important or less important. But in the end, it's a very important trend. So when you look at all that, okay, these are challenges, but you would tell me, okay, whatever the age of consumption, we've had challenges. So what is new in these challenges is we have something which is irrational in consumers, which is this one. It's like, even if people love your brand, they would still go for an option which is sometimes, better from their short-term perspective, like cheaper. So whatever you do, even if you have loyal consumers, even if they love you, at the end, you may lose them just because the brand next door is cheaper than yours. So all in all, that gives you just a snapshot of some. It's not all the consumption challenges. I could spend 20 hours just on that. But basically, those are components you want to take into account when you are in a business, currently. So when you are a company, you face consumption challenges like this one. And remember that it is very important to keep people because it's more expensive, to acquire a new consumer than to lose one. But you also face this. And this is competition. This is just to tell you that if you check the business of fast-moving consumer goods, and we are only with yogurts and ice creams and cookies, this is the reality of the market. Few actors. Okay, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 actors. No, 9. Sorry, actors. No, 10. No, 9. 9 actors. 9 actors. But look at the number of brands that they have. Look at the number of brands. What does it mean? It means that you have to differentiate yourself. You have to differentiate yourself as compared to your competitor, but also internally. If you check Nestle, look at Nestle, how many brands they have. So they have different portfolio, but like each bubble is one portfolio in the same product category, which means that you also have internal competition. Okay, so you need to differentiate yourself. You need to find a way to capture your clients, to capture your consumers. And the traditional way of doing business is no more, I would say, appropriate, or can be no more appropriate, because up to a couple of years, you were pushing products towards consumers and people were buying from you. But that works in a world where, you have, if you want to buy, I don't know, like, for example, yogurts, okay, you go to the supermarket, maybe you have the choice in between 3 brands, okay, you choose, one is with fruit, one with nature, and the other one is light, okay, diet yogurt. Okay, so you choose whatever you want in between the 3. Now you go to the supermarket, so I don't know which country you come from, but if you go to France, if you have ever the chance to come to France, go to a supermarket and go to the yogurt area. And if you go to Italy, you have to go to the laundry products area. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, the choice is so huge that the choice is not going to be made based on, I only have one option per category. No, in a single category, you will have the choice in between maybe 10, 15, 20 options. So you have, as a client, I need to be seduced. You see my point? I need to find emotional things beyond my purchase, and no more only the simple choice because it's rational. This is the only one that I have. So those 2 components have made businesses evolve and have changed. Some of them changed their model, and especially the appearance of what we call the GAFA, as you know, and also all the startup companies which have created new businesses, I think in terms of Uber or Airbnb. Uber, Grab in Asia. Sorry, I was looking for Grab in Asia. All those companies, they have developed new business models, and those new business models, they change the perspective in the way that it's no more everything which is made around our way of doing and our expertise as a business owner. But it's, let's think about consumers first. Let's think about consumers first, and let's design something about consumers. And this is the whole thing beyond as I will explain later on, client centricity. In my title, you also have the word strategy. So I question whether client centricity is, a new trend in strategy, or is it the future of strategy conduct? But you may question, what is strategy? And to define strategy, again, you can make 50 hours of class on strategy. I just want to share with you 3 quotes, which I think are very, very relevant to define strategy conduct. The first one is from Napoleon Bonaparte. So I'm sure you all know Napoleon. So he was a French military leader and then emperor in the 19th century. And Napoleon shared that the battlefield is a scene of constant chaos. The winner will be the one who controls that chaos, both his own and the enemy's. So basically, all the external environments is chaos. What I've said about competition, internal and external competition, and also what I've said about consumption trends is chaos. Okay, so you will win the battle if you control that chaos. Your chaos, but also your enemy's chaos. So basically, the consumption trends of your clients, of your competitors, and also your own clients and your own prospects. How do you do that? Being Ccentric is one option. Okay, doing market research is also one, but it's part of Ccentricity. Second quote that I would like to share, Sun Tzu, so a different military person. Strategy is coming from military, yeah? So I share military quotes. Sun Tzu, he said, every battle is won before it is fought. It's like a negotiation, by the way. You always win your negotiation before the negotiation actually happens. You prepare yourself. You need to be in anticipation, in pro-action, okay? So how to be proactive? You need data, you need insights, you need information, and you are going to anticipate what may happen in 10 years from now. It's too late. If you think today about a sustainable packaging for cosmetics or refillable packaging for cosmetics, it's too late. You should have thought about that 5 years ago so that you have time to develop it and know it's released. But know that you have some releasing some sustainable packaging. It's too late if you enter in there, okay? So how do you go into this winning the battle before it happens? You have to listen to the market. You have to listen to what we call the subtle signs, okay? The signs which are not obvious, which are not said by consumers, but you observe, like every single morning of your life when you listen to the news, 10 minutes, okay, to the news, global, local news, I don't care. You should try to find one piece of information which might be useful for your business in the coming years. How is this piece of information, you know, possibly something interesting or challenging for me? And this is being proactive. And when you listen to those subtle signals, you will be able to invent products even before clients think about the existence of such a product. And that is Steve Jobs. That is Steve Jobs. Okay, that is Apple. And the last quote which I love is Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela is not a military guy. Okay, you all know him. And he said something very, very human, I think, which is if you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. You don't make people buy with their head. You make people buy with their heart, okay, as I said before. So if you want to speak to people's heart, you need to speak your client's language. And to speak your client's language, you need to understand them. You need to think as if you were the client. And this is the whole point beyond being Ccentric. So now I keep saying, you know, this is the rationale behind Ccentric. So I need to define for you what is Ccentricity. So Ccentricity starts with questioning first, who is the C? So I said the C might be the client, consumer, customer, or patient, but the C might be the person buying, the purchaser in B2B. It might be the user of the product, okay? So for example, the mom is buying the diapers, but the user of the diapers is a baby. It's also a little bit the mom because she's putting it on the baby, but still it's a baby. The information collector, the person who is checking for information, maybe it's the dad who compared all diapers, you know, on catalogs or on YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever. The influencers, so all people who might influence the purchase, so including, of course, the key opinion leaders. And lastly, it might be the decision maker, very important in B2B. In B2B, the people who decide are not the people who use, usually. Okay, and it's not either the purchaser. It might be the manager, or it might be the CEO, depending on the size of the company. Okay, so first I need to define who is my C. Who do I want to be C-centric about? Do I want to be centered on the purchaser, on the user, on the information collector, on the influencer, or on the decision maker? And I need to choose. I cannot say I want all of them. If you choose everyone, you choose no one. Okay, the definition of a positioning is to position yourself. So it's to exclude some people from your sample. Okay, so this is targeting, if you want. When you target, you want to go for one person, one group of people, not 10 of them. Okay, so you need to choose. And once you have chosen, you are going to eventually develop a C-centric strategy, which is starting with a real, sincere, and deep understanding of your target clients' true needs, even the needs they don't know about yet. Sorry, there was a question in the discussion area. Then you have to identify which needs can be profitably met, because you want to make profit. Okay, we are not doing philanthropy here. Our objective is to make business, to get money at the end of the day. So we need to understand which needs can be profitably met, and this is going to depend on your company also, abilities, capacities. Then it's about mobilizing your business to supply solutions to these identified needs, and then dynamically adjusting your solutions as your clients and the market dictates. So what does it mean? In short, because it's a very long sentence to say something very simple. Yes, I think instead of my consumer, I do as if I were the consumer, okay, the client. And I'm going to design a product which is answering a need which is unmet, which I can profitably met. And I'm going to arrange all my company around that. Meaning that it's no more doing R&D for the sake of doing R&D, but R&D is going to listen to what the marketing team is saying. We understand that there is this trend, please find a solution for that. We don't speak anymore of product portfolio, we speak of client portfolio. We don't speak anymore of product managers, but we speak of cohort or group or segment managers. Okay, so the whole company is going to be reorganized around clients, around consumers, around customers. And this is the definition of Ccentricity, putting back the client at the center of your strategic reflection. Even for those of you who may have had already a strategy course, maybe you know the BCG matrix. In Ccentricity, the BCG matrix is different because we do it around consumers, no more around the market growth and the market share. It's going to be the share of the product in the segment and the growth of the segment. So it's the same, we transpose, but basically everything is thought around clients, around consumers. So you understand, when you are a startup, it's quite easy to do. I mean, quite easy. It's not easy, but it's not complex to do because you start your business, so you may arrange everything around that. But if you are a very big company like Pernod Ricard, who is going into Ccentricity, maybe you know the wine and spirits company Pernod Ricard. If not, I encourage you to check online. You will see it's a very big company. Pernod Ricard, they are in the Seacentric approach right now. They want to reorganize all the services and all the business units around clients. That is a big challenge, and that is a big change with a lot of change management, because also some people are going to lose their job. Some people need to learn a new job, and you need to, to make change management basically. Okay. Alors, some examples of Ccentricity. I'm just going to share with you two examples. One, which is a very silly example. I'm sure you all know that. Prepared salad, pre-packed salad. You know the bag where you have pre-washed salad inside. You open, you put in a bowl, and that's it. It's done. Okay. Okay. That was an innovation at some point. What happened is, actually, it's a French company who came up with that. A French company called Florette, with headquarters in the south of France, and they observed, people at home, and especially the women, because it was quite some years ago when traditionally women were cooking, and they observed that with women working more and more, it was more and more difficult for them to make salad, because I don't know, maybe in your respective country you still do it, but to wash the salad and then to use the stuff which is drying the salad is quite long and cumbersome, and maybe perceived as a burden for people who have long working hours. So they said we have to find a solution for that, and they designed this pre-packaged salad, pre-washed salad, okay, for just observing the market. So starting with reasoning as if they were a lady preparing the dinner. But then they kept observing women, and they found out that women, what were they doing? They were putting the salad in the bowl, and then they were adding some cherry tomatoes, shredded carrots, mushrooms, maize, corn. Sorry, guys. Corn. I mean, they were adding ingredients. And in the end of the day, they said, maybe there is something else we can develop. Maybe we can develop the pre-washed salad like this one, but with shredded carrots inside, or like 2 cherry tomatoes, inside the package, and you pay twice the price. Okay. So it was a way to capture value, just finding a solution for the client. So here you see me coming. What I do is I listen to my market. I anticipate what the market might be willing. I give them what they might be willing and what people are ready to pay for. I add value to the product, and the price is going to be disconnected from the cost. So I can make people pay whatever is felt as being useful to them. And that is the whole point. With a Ccentric strategy, you can make people pay without thinking of the cost. It's about the value which is perceived in the product. That was an example. And the second example is sorry for the quality of the picture, but I took myself this picture coming from Singapore in an area which is next to our ESSEC campus. There is a chiropractic place, and I was reading the thing on the window because I was interested, by the way. And I felt that, you know, on the bottom, on the very left, if you look down, sorry, it's written patient centricity. So I made a zoom on effect, which is always, you know, in the picture. Okay. So why do you go for Ccentricity? Why would you go for Ccentricity? Well, you may be willing to put the customer at the center of your strategy for several matters. First of all, you understand the only way to create what we call a blue ocean, so to create a new market, to differentiate yourself from the competition, not to remain with all the gold fishes on the left, so to go in a new bocal, in a new, bocal, is might be to go for Ccentricity. Okay, so this is first reason. I want to develop my new market. I want to develop my new business model, and I want to be alone on that segment. And the only way to do that is to be Ccentric, honestly, nowadays, for all the reasons I've explained before. But then why do you want to go for a blue ocean strategy? Well, first, because you want to capture value. You want to capture value, not spending more, making people pay more. Just adding a single ingredient, just adding a service, just adding something which is providing value to your clients is going also to make you, you know, at the end of the day, have a higher turnover. So this is exactly why you work on Ccentricity, to develop, to strengthen your value, the value of your company, the value of business. And also because if you are Ccentric, you have higher chances to have happy consumers. And if you have happy consumers, if you reach the state of delight in the consumers, then you have loyal consumers. And I remind you, it's 6 to 7 times more expensive to acquire a new consumer than to keep a new one. So if you have loyal consumers, you spare money. So you increase the value of your business and you spare some money. So at the end of the day, you win on both aspects. And you, of course, have, you develop your company and you have this blue ocean, plus a blue ocean, which is profitable. And as I was saying, I'm not speaking about philanthropy. I'm really speaking about, you know, business conduct here. So what are the 3 components of Ccentricity? 3 components of Ccentricity will be working on the customer experience, working on the customer value, so the perceived value out of the product, and working on the customer journey. So I decided to present you one specific aspect, which is about building value. So how do you build value? Well, this is coming from, if you check out, the history of consumption, and especially how we went into this value perception, you have first the stage of consuming commodities. When you consume commodities, you consume things which are vital, and you don't perceive any added value in the commodities. It's like, you know, fuel in your car. You just put fuel to go from point A to point B, but there is no value perceived out of this. This is why we call it commodity. A commodity is something which is useful, but it's not valuable. It's just needed, I would say. Commodities are extracted. Okay, so we speak about petrol, we speak about water, we speak about coal, but it's about extractions. From commodities, we go into the world of goods. Goods are a little bit higher because in the hierarchy, because they are made, they are designed by people. So it's not a bulk thing, but it is the aggregate arrangement of ingredients, of commodities, to make a final product which might be consumed by clients. So they don't have a lot of effort. They don't have to do, a lot of effort to use it. Okay, so goods are going to be made. From goods, then companies develop services. Okay, so you have a product which is prepared, which is pre-packaged product. Okay, and then you add a service to this product. A service is something which is delivered to the final consumer. Okay, and is something which is adding, already it's starting adding some value to the client, but it's just something people pay for. Okay, you pay for a service, you pay for after-sale services. It's part of the price of the product. And the last stage is about providing people with an experience. And when you stage your products, you provide them with an experience. And here you are at the pure value emotional aspect of consumption. And this is where, when you reach the stage of experiences, you disconnect again the price of your product and the perception of your product from the perception of a commodity, which is enhanced, if you want. Up to services, it's enhanced commodities. When you stage a product, it's no more a commodity at all. It's really an experience. It's something which is, by the way, very difficult to replicate. This is why you create your blue ocean. It's very difficult to replicate. So this is what we call building value, okay? So building value is to go from the commodities to the experience. And focusing on experiences is a way to escape the red ocean and to escape the world of commodities and of cost focus. One dimension is how much, so okay, start with this one, is how much, sorry, it stays, my connection is unstable, I hope it's okay now. So as I was saying, when you want to design an experience, you need to work on two dimensions. The first dimension is absorption versus immersion. So how much the consumer is involved in the process of the experience, okay? Immersion is the consumer is an actor of the experience, and absorption, the consumer is just an observer of the experience, okay? So this is the first dimension, observer versus experiencer, in the sense of maker, doing. The second dimension is also how the consumer is going to be participating, whether it's active participation or passive participation. Okay, so it's really related to the first one, but you will see that the examples are quite self-explanatory. So I will start with the first one, which is called entertainment. So the four experiences I'm going to present, we are in the world of experience, but we have four different types of experiences. The first one is entertaining consumers. So entertainment is at the crossroad of absorption and passive participation. And this is what you have in the flagship store of Louis Vuitton. So here you have a picture of the flagship store of Louis Vuitton, Place Vendôme, so that they opened in October 2017. And they said, so I read, it is very meaningful to that maison to come back to the location where its first store situated in 1854. So basically, it's to remember the origin of Louis Vuitton. They open back this store, and in this store, they offer various personalized products, and this is exclusive to the store. Okay, so the store was designed by a very famous luxury architect, which is called Peter Marino. Peter Marino has designed almost all Chanel boutiques. He's very, very famous in the area. It has a high ceiling with plentiful sunlight with beautiful touch. I read the description that they give. So inside you have a decoration with objects inspired by travel and furniture, such as a flying chair or leather carrier. And the consumer can find all the Louis Vuitton products. So in this boutique, they launched the collaboration with Jeff Koons, products designed by Jeff Koons. And in this store, you know, the consumers, they are a passive audience because they are not acting at all. They are not doing anything. But they are just looking and they are, I would say, witnessing, the signs and the signals of the history of Louis Vuitton and what is the brand about and what the products are about. At the end, it's a very classical way of delivering an experience, this one. The second one, which is absorption but active participation, is the example of an exhibition made by Dior, which is called Couturier du Rêve. So it could be shoemaker of dreams. So it was celebrating the story of the 70th years of the story of the Maison. And it was exhibited at the Musée des Arts Décoratifs in Paris. And here you have this big exhibit about Dior, where he was coming from, and so forth. So there was a lot of explanations about the history of the company. You could learn about the historical of evolution of the style of the Dior Maison, also with a lot of testimonies from the designers, etc. So in this experience, the visitors, they participated very actively because the learning process was done in a kind of interactive way. So people were just reading the thing, but they were learning things. So it was just about observing, it's about learning. You know, you get something. So this is why you have active participation. If you wanted to understand the exhibit, you had to participate in the exhibit. Then you've got the category of aesthetics, which is passive participation and immersion. So here you have the example of the Tiffany Blue Box Cafe, which is exactly as a place where Audrey Hepburn, you know, in the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's, where she is having coffee with a croissant. So they created a coffee with croissant at the exact place. And when you are in this place, which is all blue Tiffany, you know, the walls, you can see the pictures, all the molds are Tiffany blue. Basically, you feel like Audrey Hepburn having breakfast at Tiffany's. So it's just, you are immersed, and it's a passive participation because you don't participate to the brand, you don't do something, you just eat. But basically, you are immersed in the Tiffany's and in the Tiffany's authentic environment where the place the movie has taken as the actor Audrey Hepburn. However, you are a passive participant. Okay, this is the whole idea. And the last one is called escapism, which is at the crossroad of immersion and active participation. So you are really immersed, you are going to do things, and you are going to participate actively to the brand also. The example that you have is the Van Cleef & Arpels school. I don't know if you know about this school, L'École Van Cleef & Arpels, located Place Vendôme. So you can go there, you can go for following a course, you can listen to professionals, but you can also learn about how to make a jewelry. So they really teach you about gems and they really teach you about how to make a piece of jewelry. So you learn something, but you are actively, it's not about passive learning, it's about active learning, learning by doing, okay? And just for the little story, you can pay to go there and you can take your courses, but you can also, if you are a VVIP consumer of Van Cleef & Arpels, they take their VVIPs there to get the knowledge, to get the teaching. Okay, so it's one way to develop an experience for the very very important clients. Okay, so this is what we call reinventing consumer experience. So you see many opportunities. I took the examples of the luxury industry because this is where experience is pushed. I mean, the boundaries of experience are pushed. But of course, you can do that also for food or for other sectors of activities. Alors, the reason why you go for Ccentricity is also because you want to have client empathy to develop your business. So, and actually I should have put the title vice versa, C empathy for Ccentricity. Like you need to be empathic to be C-centric. So what is client empathy? Is cognitive empathy. So meaning I try to see the world through your eyes. So trying to see the world through the eyes of the clients. Then it's about emotional empathy. I try as a company to feel what you feel as a client. And the last one is empathic concern. So I am motivated to act. These are the three things you should do if you want to be C-centric. Okay, you cannot be C-centric if you are not cognitive empathic, emotionally empathic, and if you don't have empathic concern. Okay, so it's about feeling like your consumers, it's about thinking like your consumers, and it's about being able to act for your consumers. It's not so easy. Eh? Alors, this is a question that I asked at the very beginning. Is it a golden nugget? Is being C-centric a golden nugget? Is it, you know, always a win-win-win situation? Alors, C-centricity, so it is the future of strategy. You've heard me. C-centricity is complex. It requires a complete shift of thinking. So if you are a big company where the cost of change, the change cost is higher than what you can get, you know, from changing, it might not be so useful. Also, you have to know that if you are in the commodity market, it's useless. You've seen, we go from commodity to experience, and with Ccentricity, we work on experiences, we work on value. So I cannot be Ccentric, or it's completely useless to be Ccentric in a business area where there is no perceived value from the consumers. If consumers don't value added services, if you want, it's useless to go Ccentric, because you're going to add fancy things for people who don't care about that. So at the end of the day, you do great things, but people don't care. So in the end, it's completely useless. Also, it's costly, but it's taking time. And it's very, very costly to change from a traditional strategy to a Ccentric strategy. So you need, and this is painful to hear, you need to be ready to lose money during the first years. Okay, you are going to see your turnover decrease, and then it's going to be a boom. But first, I mean, the curve is going to be that, and then that, okay? So it's like a V shape, if you want. But you are going to lose money. So if you don't have a lot of cash flow, if you're not ready to lose money, if your shareholders are not ready to lose money during a couple of years, it won't work. Okay, so these are, reasons for some companies not to go Ccentric. So what do you do if you don't go Ccentric? I've told you at the very beginning, it's completely suicide. It's complete suicide to not think about your consumers. Well, if you don't want to be Ccentric, you can be C-focused, which is, I would say, the first step towards Ccentricity. Being C-focused is not putting the client at the center of your reflection, but it's about caring about your consumers, caring about what they want to, about what they would like, or caring about their satisfaction. It's about conducting some market research. It's not about using the market research to predict what might be the market in 10 years and to anticipate, etc. Everything I've said, but it's still working on client satisfaction. Okay, so don't be afraid. If you cannot be C-centric, you can be C-focused, and it's but it's about all the medical devices and especially all the digital devices that they develop to enhance the patient experience. And to do that, they are patient-centric. So all in all, is it a golden nugget? For some companies, it might be, but you need to be ready to take the risk. You need to have a solid finance foundations if you want to change from normal to Ccentricity. And if you are a newcomer on the market and if you want to create your blue ocean, yes, this is a solution. But don't forget, and that's my last quote from a military strategist, Karl von Clausewitz, the greatest enemy of a good plan is the dream of a perfect plan. Always remember that you cannot plan everything when you do business, and sometimes you plan to be Ccentric and you have to change and you go back to normal, and sometimes you plan to be normal and you have to be Ccentric and you need to adapt. But be ready to challenge yourself, be ready to be humble in your business conduct. And being Ccentric is actually all about that. It's about being humble, listening to the consumers. The consumer is the king, and he's the one who is going to bring added value to my business. Thank you, guys. I'm done with my presentation. Thank you for listening. And I think we have time for a Q&A session. Nico, maybe we have time. I forgot. I want to thank ESSEC for asking me today to make this presentation. You can write your question in the discussion area. As I was saying, it's a very short snapshot of what we do in the SMIP program. One of the courses that I teach in the SMIP program in 25 hours. So you understand that in 45 minutes, I cannot share as much as in 25. But basically, it's one example of the courses that you have in this program. And I don't want to advertise too much the program, but the whole objective with the Master in SMIP program is to provide you with an open eye on the world, to be able to tackle complex challenges which are brought to companies, And we have courses like this one, Seacentricity, but you also have a course, for example, on IoT, Internet of Things. Okay, we want to be proactive in what companies might be doing in the future, because the strategy is about foreseeing, it's not about short-seeing. So this is just one example, as I was saying.
Thank you, Prof. and Flo, for the insightful masterclass. I myself learned quite a lot today. Attendees, if you have any question, please feel free to put your question in the chat room. We'll give about 1 minute for you to type your questions if you have any. We are very lucky today to have Prof. and Flo to be with us on a Saturday.
Maybe I was really clear. Well, guys, you have my email. If you want to send me private questions, you can send my email. I've just seen in the discussion area that the session is recorded, if I'm correct. So yeah.
Prof, we have one question. If they do not have any work experience, can they apply for SMIP?
Yes, of course. SMIP is a program which is open to people without any prior experience. And this is one of the specificities of this program. So feel free to apply, yes.
All right, I think we don't have any more questions. Like what Prof has mentioned, her email is over here. You can contact her. If not, you can contact ESSEC Asia in Pacific for your questions. There will be colleagues that will be able to answer your question as well on the program. Thank you very much, Prof. and Flo. Oh, there is one more. All right, we'll just take this question, the last question of the day.
I just want to ask an opinion regarding the e-commerce market more, and more companies are going Ccentric, creating user growth department. Yes, Angela. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, as I was saying, you know, in for startups, it's easier to go Ccentric because the cost is the cost of developing a new company, whatever you do. So there is no change in what they do. So when they go for e-commerce, they think in terms of clients, yes. However, it takes time, you know. In installed companies which develop their e-shop, it's not so true. So, but you're right, yes. Online, it's easier to do it.
All right. Any more last question? Guess we'll not hold. Oh, there is
a question. Any suggestion to approach the client to share their expectations when we are trying to understand their value and key business questions? So, alors, it's not a suggestion. At home, you have some methodologies to do it. It's part of qualitative research. So you don't do it with quantitative research, because when you make a survey, you ask questions. So you pre-design the replies. You see my point? You need to anticipate what people may ask you. So a survey is able to measure things, not to discover things. But doing qualitative research, so there are many ways to do it. You can do ethno marketing. You can use what we call projective techniques. You can also simply have a discussion or narratives approach. Diary research. I mean, there are many ways to do it, but this is not something you are going to do on your own. Usually you go through a market research company, or through even some academics do that for companies, because it requires some scientific knowledge, which is very much inspired from psychology as well. So yes, but remember, this is about qualitative research. Remember projective techniques, interviews, focus groups. Those would be the most useful methodologies, yes, but it's possible. And also, remember what I said, just listening to the subtle signals, listening to the news every morning. This is the first time in a masterclass people tell you to watch TV, you know. So
all right. So I guess we won't hold Prof back. Prof will still be currently she's in Paris right now, so we're on her morning, and she will be at Sergi campus.
We have graduation ceremonies happening these days. So
yes, so thank you very much, Prof. Thank you. So without keeping her more time, thank you very much for attending this webinar. We hope you enjoy the session with Prof and Flo. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Nico. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.